Genshin Impact's patch 6.5, aka Luna 6, will bring about highly sought after 5 stars, but with 9 different 5 stars to choose from, a lot of people are having trouble deciding who to wish for. That's why in this video, we'll go over Linnea, Chasca, Nefer, Lauma, Clorinde, Navia, Lyney, Sigewinne, and Emilie's strengths, weaknesses, and pull value for your account. That way you can be sure you're making the best decision and not wasting your precious primogems. With that being said, there's nothing wrong with just wishing for a character you really like, but you will want to know how those characters work and what they struggle to do, which is exactly what this video is designed to help with. So, even if you know who you already want, this video will help you be the best prepared to play your favorite characters at their maximum potential. Make sure to like this video if it helps, and share it with anyone who may be wondering who to wish for, and let me extend my thanks for doing so, as it really does help out a lot. Now let's talk about Linnea, the cute crystallizing chicken wing support. Linnea is a bow-wielding character that provides a mix of off-field damage, healing, and buffs, all which scale off of her defense. Her purpose in a team is to enable Lunar Crystallize, allowing Geo and Hydro to create a special offensive reaction similar to characters like Jabai. Linnea's playstyle mostly revolves around her elemental skill, which has 2 versions, a single tap version and a multi-tap version. Both versions summon her little fey companion Lumi to deal Geo damage to enemies. The single tap version makes her Pudding Fairy attack every few seconds, while also dealing direct Lunar Crystallize damage, as long as the little turret moondrifts from the initial Lunar Crystallize reaction are present. If you rapidly press her skill, Linnea stuffs Lumi full of extra delicious rocks, unleashing a much more powerful single hit of Lunar Crystallize damage, but afterwards Lumi gets a little bit of a food coma and will attack much slower. This ability can have some situational uses, but generally the single tap version of her skill is what you want to use because it's a lot more consistent off-field damage. Linnea's Elemental Burst deals no damage, but it does heal the entire team, while additionally healing the active character over time. It also resummons Lumi in the tap form if the little Pudding Fairy has disappeared, or it increases its duration if Lumi is already present. Linnea also has unique exploration passives that allow you to capture animals for your Serenity Pot with her bow, and also more easily farm rocks in the overworld with her aim shots. So is Linnea worth it for your account? Will her strengths, versatility, and chicken wing hair outweigh the fact that she was designed as a niche character? It's time to give Linnea a rating. Linnea's personal damage is good. Linnea is primarily a support, but she does good damage with her skill, which is even more pronounced when paired with other lunar damage amplifying characters like Chronicle. Linnea's support capability is good. Even though she's designed for Lunar Crystallized teams, Linnea offers consistent off-field damage and team-wide healing. These 2 factors alone make her good support, even outside of Lunar Crystallized teams. But the fact that she was designed for a very niche reaction does count against her, as her other support capabilities are designed for lunar damage dealers. Linnea's team flexibility is good, with caveats. Characters that deal solid off-field damage and also provide good defensive support are often valuable even outside of their best teams, and Linnea is no exception. She works well with pretty much any character that can consistently apply Hydro, although her best teams are definitely Lunar Crystallized focused teams, especially ones with Chronicle. So while Linnea can work in a variety of teams, her best role is definitely in a very niche one. Linnea's free-to-play friendliness is good. Even though she has a niche role, Linnea is an easy-to-build character because she ascends with crit rate, and you can also use the 3-star bow slingshot for even more crit rate. And since her damage, healing, and buffs scale with her defense, the low base attack on a 3-star weapon doesn't matter. Everyone also has access to I Know for free, allowing every player to have another Moonsign character to pair with Linnea for any Moonsign related buffs like on the Obod of Morningstar artifact set. And while Lunar Crystallize is not a great reaction, the fact that Linnea offers consistent off-field damage, healing, and is easy to build makes her a good free-to-play character to have. Linnea's overall value for your account is good. She has a lot going for her, and as a character, I think a lot of people will appreciate her despite the fact that she is designed for a very specific role. What really holds Linnea back is that she is not as valuable for your account as another lunar support that blends offense and defense, Nefer. Linnea is more valuable for your account on a lunar crystallized team, but Nefer fills a very similar role and is much better for your account overall. To look at this, both characters are lunar off-field damage dealers and supports that provide consistent off-field damage and have good defensive support capabilities, but Linnea's healing is tied to her elemental burst, meaning it needs energy to function. And Nefer's shield is tied to her elemental skill, meaning her defensive support doesn't require any energy to activate. Linnea also deals geo damage, which in many cases can completely ruin certain elemental reactions, whereas Nefer's electro application can lead to more variations in offensive reactions for additional supplementary damage. So unless you plan on using Linnea specifically for Lunar Crystallize, there are better supports that fulfill the role that she fills. Recommended teammates for Linnea include Columbina, Jabai, Itlua, Goro, and older geo damage dealers like Navia or Ito. Now let's move on to Chasca, Natlan's flying gun girl. Chasca is a bow-wielding anemo damage dealer whose main gameplay revolves around her getting on a flying revolver produced by her elemental skill. This might be the most ridiculous thing in Genshin Impact, but it's not the only thing that makes Chasca unique. Unlike typical anemo damage dealers, Chasca has very bad anemo damage and application. Instead, she is an anemo absorption damage dealer. Certain characters like Kazuha, Sucrose, and Venti can infuse their abilities with Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo, and Chasca is similar to them. Her unique mechanic shoots anemo bullets while riding a giant flying gun during her elemental skill. Her normal attacks in this state are terrible, so instead of normal attacking, she wants to load bullets into her gun through charged attacks, several of which can be infused with the aforementioned elements. It's these elemental bullets that make up a majority of Chasca's damage, as they do 4 times the amount of damage as her regular anemo bullets. For this reason, Chasca wants 3 Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, and Electro characters on her team, and she doesn't want her teammates to share an elemental type. That's because her passive has a chance to give her an additional absorption bullet, with a 100% chance when you have 3 unique Pyro, Hydro, Cryo, or Electro characters on the team. Meaning that a Chasca team with Bennett, Furina, and Auroran would be better than a team with Bennett, Xiangling, and Furina. This ends up being a big limitation, since using a character like Kazuha or Xilonen on a Chasca team often results in less damage, not more. And because she uses charged attacks as her main source of damage, characters like Xingqiu and Yelan don't work with her either. Chasca's elemental burst shoots 6 shots, and she gets 2 special bullets for each Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo character in your team. These special infused bullets deal double the damage of her normal animal bullets, so you'll want 3 unique characters of the aforementioned elements to maximize her burst damage as well. So how does our flying gunslinger girl stack up? It's time to give Chasca a rating. Chasca's personal damage is bad to good. If we were to look at Chasca in a vacuum, her personal damage would be awful. But when she has the right characters in her team and she can absorb their elements and use special infusion bullets, her damage becomes a lot better. That being said, she is very limited in AoE situations, and she does need characters of 3 unique elements to really shine. Chasca's support capability is bad. Chasca is a typical on-field damage dealer that doesn't contribute if she's not on the field, so instead of her helping the rest of the team, you'll need to build a team entirely around Chasca. Chasca's team flexibility is okay. Incentivizing the use of different elements on a team might make you think that Chasca has a lot of team options, but sadly there are several reasons why that is not the case. Number 1, Chasca does not want teammates of the same element, so no double Pyro. Number 2, she doesn't want characters that only proc their effects from normal attacks like Xingqiu or Yelan. Number 3, she's pretty squishy, so she wants to stay relatively far away from enemies, making it harder to use a character that makes you fight up close and personal like Xiangling. And number 4, she doesn't want any Dendro, Geo, or Anemo teammates because that really hurts her overall damage output. So while it may seem that Chasca's team flexibility is pretty good at first, it's actually quite limited. And that's a bit of a shame since her damage relies heavily on using characters of unique elements on her team. Chasca's free-to-play friendliness is okay. Chasca has some team building issues that may be hard to fulfill for free-to-play players, and her free-to-play weapons are decent, but they have the annoying drawback that they are craftable weapons that don't really feel great on her without several refinements. The craftable bows, the Song of Stillness, and the Chainbreaker are the weapons I'm referring to, with the Song of Stillness being the better free-to-play choice in a Bennett and Farina team, and the Chainbreaker being a good alternative if you can't meet the healing requirements for the Song of Stillness's passive. Chasca's overall rating is good. She is a unique damage dealer with some limitations around her team compositions, free-to-play weapons, and effectiveness in AoE. Her damage is solid, but it's not top tier. And that's because she was not designed to be a solo hypercarry, but rather as an animo absorption damage dealer who relies on her teammates to deal off-field damage and help with her lack of AoE. Chasca will be a fine character for those who want to wish for her, but I can't recommend that everyone pull for her. Recommended teammates for Chasca include Bennett, Farina, Auroran, Fischl, Shenhe, Layla, Rosaria, and any other off-field Pyro, Hydro, Electro, or Cryo characters that don't need normal attacks to trigger their abilities. Now let's talk about Nefer, the femme fatale and green Yalan of Nod Cry. Nefer is a Dendro Catalyst DPS that focuses on the Lunar Bloom reaction. Her elemental skill has 2 charges and grants her a special stance that lets her do a special charged attack. Performing a charged attack this way will consume 1 Verdant Dew generated from the Lunar Bloom reaction, and the resulting charge attack will summon Dendro clones that deal direct Lunar Bloom damage based off Nefer's elemental mastery. In this way, she's very similar to Flins. Her non-lunar damage is quite bad, but her elemental skill puts her in a special state that allows her to deal direct lunar damage, which makes up the vast majority of her damage output. Nefer is also a character that scales entirely off of elemental mastery, so building her requires a lot of elemental mastery, but also crit rate and crit damage because lunar blooms can crit, but attack is pretty useless on her. You can also cut down on her rotation time and increase your team's damage by dash canceling Nefer's charged attack. Once the first hit of her special charge attack hits an enemy, you can dash and the remaining clones will still hit the enemy afterwards, allowing you to massively speed up her animation time. Dash canceling her charge attacks also makes weaving in her elemental burst a much better option, since without dash canceling her burst really isn't great for team rotations. And for more Nod Cry propaganda, when you have Nefer and at least one more Nod Cry character in the team, she changes all Bloom Cores into Seeds of Deceit, which cannot be interacted with. So that means no Bloom, Hyper Bloom, or Burgeon for Nefer with at least one more Nod Cry character in the team. But in exchange, her damage gets a big increase, since Nefer can absorb up to 3 of these seeds whenever she does her charge attack, giving her an additional damage multiplier and elemental mastery at 3 stacks. So even though having 2 Nod Cry characters in your team shuts off the potential for Bloom, Hyper Bloom, and Burgeon teams, it makes Nefer a lot stronger and it's well worth the trade-off. And while Nefer may have stolen your heart, is she actually worth your primogems? It's time to give her a rating. Nefer's personal damage is great. Her main contribution to the team is being an on-field damage dealer, and her damage is similar to Flynn's, so she's not the strongest character in the game, but she's hardly a weak character either. Nefer's support capability is bad. She is an on-field damage dealer and you have to build a team around her, so don't expect her to be supporting any other character. Nefer's team flexibility is bad. She basically has one team, which is a Lunar Bloom team, and considering she wants one of those characters to be a Nod Cry character, your team flexibility options drop even more. Luckily, everyone gets I Know for free, but that still doesn't change the fact that she has very little team versatility. On top of that, Nefer really appreciates Lauma in her team, and while she isn't unplayable without Lauma, there's a big difference in team performance when Lauma is on the team versus when she's not. Nefer's free-to-play friendliness is good. Despite having poor team flexibility, it's not hard for even a newer free-to-play player to make Nefer work well. One of her best weapons is the Black Marrow Lantern, which is a craftable catalyst from Nod Cry. And Ino is a free character that everyone can pair with Nefer to activate the important Ascendant Gleam and multiplicative damage boost from Nefer's passive. So how valuable is Nefer overall? She's pretty good. Nefer is a solid damage dealer with some nice free-to-play options that can get better with more premium supports and investment. While she isn't breaking any records, the free-to-play version of Nefer, especially with dash cancels and optimized combos, is enough to clear endgame content with relative ease, at least until Hoyo decides to power creep more and more characters. I would recommend Nefer if you already have Lauma and want a nice DPS partner for her, or if you just really like her. If you don't know if you should get her, then I would recommend saving your primogems because there's always going to be stronger damage dealers and you might find one that you like even more. Recommended teammates and teams for Nefer include Lunar Bloom teams with Nod Cry supports like Lauma and Ino, Nahida is also a good choice, and just about any other support that buffs Elemental Mastery and Lunar Reaction damage will find a nice place with Nefer. Now let's talk about Lauma, the Dendro Deer Lady that's bringing Bloom back to life. Lauma is a Dendro Catalyst support that is designed to increase the damage of Bloom teams, which include Hyper Bloom and Burgeon. She changes regular Bloom to Lunar Bloom, but unlike reactions like Lunar Charged, Lunar Bloom is exactly the same as regular Bloom, except for in one regard, which we'll discuss when talking about her elemental skill. Speaking of which, Lauma's elemental skill is her main source of damage. When a character on the team triggers a Bloom reaction, your team gets a Verdant Dew, which looks like a little tiny moon sign, and Lauma can consume all these tiny little moons by using her hold skill to deal high amounts of AoE Dendro damage. Her skill also reduces enemy Hydro and Dendro resistance, and when consuming the Verdant Dew generated by Lunar Bloom, Lauma gains a special Moon Song stack for her Elemental Burst. And speaking of her Elemental Burst, it gives her special stacks of a buff called Pale Hymn, which increases the damage of Bloom reactions. This works very similar to Shenhe or Yunjin's abilities, making you lose a stack every time a Bloom, Hyper Bloom, or Burgeon reaction hits an enemy. This also means that if Bloom, Hyper Bloom, or Burgeon hits multiple enemies at once, you'll also consume multiple stacks at once. Using Lauma's hold skill will increase the amount of these Bloom buffing stacks for each little Verdant Moon Dew that you consume. So to put this all in simple terms, you use Lauma and a Hydro source to trigger the Bloom reaction, you get 3 tiny little moons which you can see under your team, you use her hold skill for big AoE Dendro damage, and then use her burst to make your Bloom, Hyper Bloom, and Burgeon reactions much stronger. But what makes Lauma special is one of her passive abilities that activates after she uses her skill. If you have 2 Nod Cry characters on your team, she increases their Lunar Bloom crit rate and crit damage. But if you have only 1 Nod Cry character in the team, i.e. Lauma, she allows Bloom, Hyper Bloom, and Burgeon to crit, with a fixed 15% crit rate and 100% crit damage. And that's all just a fancy way to say that if Lauma is the only Nod Cry character on your team, she has a 15% chance to double your Bloom, Hyper Bloom, and Burgeon damage. All this is surely enough to make anyone fawn over Lauma, but is she actually worth your primogems? Lauma's personal damage is good. She is designed as a support, but she can still hit for well over 100,000 damage every 12 seconds by using her hold elemental skill. Lauma is far from the best DPS in the game, but she does contribute good damage on top of her being a damage amplifying support character. Lauma's support capability is great. Lauma is the strongest support for Lunar Bloom damage dealers like Nefer, but she has a ton of other options outside of Lunar damage teams. As long as you play a Bloom, Hyper Bloom, or Burgeon team, Lauma is one of, if not the best characters to have on your team. She takes everything that a Bloom team archetype wants and just makes it a lot better. Lauma's team flexibility is good. Lauma wants to be on either a Lunar Bloom team or a team that can deal regular Bloom, Hyper Bloom, or Burgeon damage. Unlike other Nod Cry supports, Lauma is designed to function well on both a Lunar damage team and outside a Lunar damage team, making her have a good amount of flexibility, but she is still shackled to the various Bloom team archetypes. Lauma's free-to-play friendliness is great. Lauma is a very easy character to build. She just needs elemental mastery and energy recharge, so she's great for free-to-play players that don't want to be pressured to wish for a signature weapon to max out the high stat requirements that a lot of other characters have. In fact, Lauma does not need her signature weapon at all, and the event weapon, the Everlight Spindle Loot, is perfect for her. But the Nodcry craftable weapon, the Sumeru craftable weapon, and Sacrificial Fragments are also solid choices. And considering the fact that she does very well at low investment with a lot of 4-star characters in a Hyperbloom team, Lauma is a great choice for free-to-play players that want a very strong character but don't want to invest a lot into a team that needs a bunch of different 5-stars. Overall, Lauma is a great character. She has a lot of versatility and she can be played on-field as a Dendro driver or off-field as a support and damage amplifier. Lauma is recommended for newer players or anyone who has Nilou already, or just anyone who wants a good, easy to play team archetype that doesn't need super high levels of investment, but still performs well even in more difficult endgame content. Now let's go over the Fontaine Chronicled Wish banner that is mysteriously missing certain Fontaine characters like Risley Arlecchino, Nuvolet, and others. That aside though, the biggest takeaway from this banner is that it is a giant trap designed to burn your primogems away. The only reason to wish on this banner is if it includes a character that you just really like and want to have on your account. The characters here have all been power crept though, so I would not advise people to wish on these banners if they want the most powerful characters they can get, or if they're worried about not having enough primogems for future characters. That being said, if given the right supports, these characters can still function well, like Navia in a Columbina, Linnea, Farina team, but their value really is more for collectors or fans than it is for clearing difficult endgame content. Clorinde has definitely been power crept as an electro character, and if you're looking for a strong on-field electro damage dealer, then I would recommend either Flins or Veressa. Navia is still a lot of fun and a pretty solid damage dealer, but she has also definitely been power crept by Jabai, who is actually a lot easier to build and has a lot better free-to-play options. Lyney has been power crept hard by Malwika, and even to some extent by on-field DPS Durin, so I wouldn't recommend him, especially since you may not enjoy the aim shot playstyle. Sigewinne was released with a 4-star characters kit that just never was really any good, and I wouldn't recommend wishing for her unless you just simply like her. And finally, Emilie still has a place in a team with Kinich, but if you want a stronger Kinich team, you'd be better off using your primogems on someone like Durin, who buffs Kinich, also does good off-field damage, and offers a lot more versatility for your account overall. So unfortunately, these characters are not great value for your account, and there are many other strong alternatives that fulfill the same roles they do. Therefore, I would only recommend wishing for these characters if you just really like them and want to have them on your account, not if you're going to rely on them for dealing the most damage possible. Now, if you look at the weapon portion of the Chronicled banner, because you can choose either the character path or the weapon path is actually pretty good, as a lot of the weapons are just generically good stat sticks with crit rate, crit damage, attack percent, and so forth. However, it takes a lot more primogems on average to get a Chronicled Wish weapon than it does on the regular weapon banner. That's because the hard pity of the Chronicled Wish weapon banner is 90, whereas the hard pity on the regular weapon banner is 80. Likewise, the soft pity for the Chronicled Wish weapons is 75, while the regular weapon banner has a soft pity of 65. So you'll need more primogems on average for the weapons that are just really not amazing, pretty good, but not particularly game-breaking. And if you decide to wish on the Chronicled weapon banner, there is still a chance you can lose to Sigewinne's bow, which is really bad. So while the weapon version of the Chronicled Wish banner can bring some decent value to your account, it's going to be a big drain on your primogems, which is why I would not recommend wishing on the Chronicle version of the weapon banner if you're missing some key game-changing characters like Columbina. So while the weapons on the Chronicled Wish banner are mostly good, having stronger characters on your account will actually bring a lot more value for you than getting one of these signature weapons. Now that we've covered the 9 different 5-stars in this patch, let's talk about who is best for you, or if you should even wish at all. Linnea or Lauma are the best choices in this patch. They are both very strong characters that offer the most versatility. Linnea will be helpful for Lunar Crystallize and whatever Lunar Crystallize propaganda Hoyle pushes out, but even outside of that, she's a solid character. However, if you don't plan on getting Jabai, then I wouldn't recommend wishing for her. She's still a good character, but you won't be able to really unlock her full potential without Jabai. Lauma, on the other hand, offers a lot more versatility. She unfortunately doesn't offer any defensive support, at least at C0, but her damage amplification capabilities are incredibly powerful. She also makes on-field Columbina much better since Columbina's charge attacks deal Lunar Bloom damage. The biggest downside to Lauma is that she doesn't deal consistent Lunar Bloom damage, making it tough to use her against a lot of Wild Hunt enemies and for other general Nodcry propaganda. And if you already have Nefer, then Lauma is a great choice. But if you don't like these limitations or are wondering if you should wish for other characters this patch, I would recommend you save your primogems instead. Malika has not had a rerun yet this cycle, and if you want a good Night Soul aligned damage dealer, she is much stronger than Chasca. And if you want a lunar support, but Linnea and Lauma aren't really doing it for you, then Columbina will likely have a rerun in 2 patches, and I would generally say it would be a lot better to have her, and then save for someone like Inefa on her rerun, than it would be to have one of the other 5 stars available this patch. And unless you are trying to get Linnea for Jabai, or get the missing piece of your Nefer Lauma combo, I recommend just saving this patch in general for other rerun characters and potentially strong upcoming characters like Nicole, or any other mysterious character that you may be interested in that hasn't been revealed yet. There's obviously a lot to consider when wishing for a 5-star character, including whether you should even wish at all, and even though this video has given you an understanding of the value of these characters for your account, you may still have more questions on who is best for you. So if you want to know what's best for your situation, just leave a comment below, or better yet, come by my live streams on Twitch or YouTube. There you can ask me about who would be best for you to wish for, or if it's better for you to save for future characters. I stream at the times on screen, and you can find the links to my live streams as well as other helpful videos in this video's description. That'll be it for this one, everyone. Have a blessed day, stay jawsome, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.